And that's why it's getting hot, I can feel the heat. It's too cold, I can feel the street. I'm just trying to make it through the day, not in my head trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. You gotta feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat. I just wanna feel the beat. I'm trying to feel the beat.
Feel the beat. 268 people in the United States have fallen victim to gun violence in the last 72 hours. Is now a good time to talk about gun reform? The George Croom experience is brought to you by the good people at Ad Closure. Look, is your home being marketed or is it just being listed? If it's the latter, talk to your agent today about Ad Closure marketing and sell your home quicker. Look, this is George Croom. We're going to do a best of today because we're constantly trying to improve. And to do so, sometimes we got to take some time off. So today, tomorrow, we'll be doing best of shows. And then when we come back on Monday, we'll have a new show with some new things. And we'll try to make it a little bit better. Always trying to improve. Always doing that for you. I love you all. I'll see you on Monday. And I'm pretty sure they all pushed back. I'm pretty sure there was money on the line from those countries. And FIFA said, we can't lose that money. And so they backtracked, told all these countries they can't wear the One Love armband and that they were going to give yellow cards to any team that actually wore it. I can't support an organization that's going to backtrack on something that relates to people being included into their society, not being discriminated against. FIFA, of course, said that they were going to have anti-discrimination armbands, but that's not enough.
What in the ACL is going on with athletes and the rise of leg injuries?
Back when children boxed, when they played baseball, when they played basketball, when they played football, when they played different sports over and over again, every season had a different sport. They weren't getting injured at the level that they're getting injured now. And there's plenty of studies. There's a University of New Hampshire study that agrees with this. There's a Duke University study that agrees with this. There's some studies from Australia and their federation of physicians that feel overtraining and having players play specialized sports is leading to these injuries.
Do the Trojans have an Achilles heel waiting in the Pac-12 championship?
We have to be able to look at the fact that Lincoln Riley has bought this team from a 4-8 team just last year as a new head coach. He's the kingmaker. Lincoln Riley is the kingmaker. He's done it with QBs. He's done it with teams. At Oklahoma, he brought Oklahoma from the depths when Stoops left, and now Oklahoma is now a great team again. Was a great team before he left, and now USC is a great team now that he's there. Kingmaker, Baker Mayfield, Heisman, Kyler Murray, Heisman, Jalen Hurts, discarded by Alabama, replaced by Tua Tagovailoa, and came to Oklahoma, became a starter, had a breakout season, and is now the quarterback in the NFL of one of the best teams in the NFL. Kingmaker.
The University of Virginia canceled their game this weekend against Virginia Tech following the shooting deaths of 3 Cavalier football players. How are colleges protecting students against these tragedies?
When do we start evaluating these college athletes for mental health illness? Because a lot of these college athletes are being trained over and over again, day in, day out, and they're taking on grueling schedules. For any normal human being, they're taking on grueling schedules. But I mean, especially for children, they're out there taking on these grueling schedules. When do we start to facilitate them with some better mental health evaluation to ensure that they're doing all right? Now, I haven't heard the full story about the gunman in this incident. I do know that he was listed on the roster in 2018, and I don't know what his story is after that. All I know is he was on this class trip with them, opened up fire, killed 3 people, injured a bunch of others, and we have to ask for a former player of UVA who happened to be on a class trip, must have still been a student. When do we start to evaluate these people? I mean, we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. I mean, the human brain doesn't finish developing until you're 24 years old. So if players are going to be used in a manner that not only profits, and we're talking about NIL, name, image, and likeness now in college sports, and I'm so grateful that players are getting played. Some players are getting paid for what they do. we should be paying these students in the form of mental health services that ensure that incidents, not only like this, incidents don't happen like this, but to ensure that these players have a place that they can go, that they can talk to somebody when things get hard. And they're not going to go to their coach. They're absolutely not going to go to a coach and say, hey, I'm struggling right now, because that means loss of playing time. That means you might get ridiculed by your teammates. They're not going to go to them. They need the school to step in and say, we'll protect you by providing somebody that you can talk to when some of this gets overwhelming, because at the end of the day, these are still children, and children whose parents have trusted a university to take care of their well-being.
The George Croom Experience, presented by Ad Closure, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., only on YouTube.
So for those of you that don't know what these things are, they fall off your car in a snowstorm, an ice missile. Have you ever been driving down an interstate after it snows? For those of you in California and some places in Texas and other places, you'll have no clue what we're talking about. Arizona, some places in Arizona, you'll have no clue what we're talking about. For those of you who live in places like the Midwest, who live on the East Coast like I do now, you'll totally get what I'm talking about when I say an ice missile. So you're driving down the road and you're going at speed on the highway, and all of a sudden, somebody who didn't clean their car off has the ice sheet that's sitting on top of their car fly off, and it catapults into the air and careens towards your vehicle. Well, you're not going to swerve. And most of the time it breaks up. I will say I've seen it a lot, because been in the Midwest, been here, lots of ice, lots of snow. I grew up in Germany, and I've seen it. Flies off all the time. Most of the time, they fly up in the air. It disintegrates before it gets down to your vehicle. But there's sometimes, like in Kentucky this past week, where it falls and hits a windshield and it breaks it. It's been known that people who don't clean off their roofs, there's been times when the snow and ice has flown off of people's cars, and it has actually killed the driver of the car who is passing them on the highway or who's behind them. Can you imagine dying on the road because an ice sheet flies off of someone's car because they didn't clean it off?
Are you a real estate investor? Were you denied for a loan or looking for something other than the traditional bank underwriting process? Contact G1 Commercial today at 443-944-6103. Now for more of the George Croom Experience, presented by Ad Closure.
Let me start by saying the George Croom Experience will forever be a no judgment zone. Who you are is who you are. Be you at all costs and at all times. I talk about honesty, loyalty, friendships, and generational wealth on this show because those are principles I believe in and I want for you and the people around you. I don't feel threatened by other success. I'm emboldened by it. We tend to have a pessimistic view of the world. I want everyone to abandon pessimism and find a place within and without that makes them see the good. See the single mother on your block with 2 kids and multiple jobs as a superhero. See your supervisor that's a hard driver but happens to stay late despite having a newborn at home as being beast mode. We must start to draw inspiration from people around us that have qualities we don't currently possess. That's how we evolve. Looking at another being taking the same trip around the same sun as a marker, not a mark. It may be family, it may be friends, it may be a spouse, significant other. Whatever shape or form that person takes, see them as a beacon and be guided, not blinded. Be good to each other. I'll see you tomorrow.